Jamie Lee Curtis. For many of us, her name is synonymous with Laurie Strode, the character she's played in 7 films, first in John Carpenter's masterful Halloween from 1978, all the way to the current trilogy closer, David Gordon Green's Halloween Ends. Laurie is the ultimate final girl, still coming back time and time again, ready to face her ultimate nemesis, Michael Myers. But Jamie Lee Curtis is so much more than the Halloween franchise. For almost 50 years, she's been surprising and delighting us in a variety of projects in multiple genres, both for film and for television. And she's won and been nominated for a ton of awards too. Throughout her career, she's been nominated for 7 Golden Globe Awards, winning 2. She's received a Primetime Emmy Award nomination, a Screen Actors Guild Award nomination, and 2 BAFTA Award nominations, the first of which she took home the trophy. But here we are in 2022, and after decades of excellent work, after so many terrific performances in both comedy and drama, Jamie Lee Curtis has yet to receive her first Oscar nomination. Why hasn't one of my all-time favorite actresses ever been recognized by the Academy? When did she get close to a nomination throughout the years? I would argue there were 3 times. And does she finally have a chance at the upcoming ceremony for her memorable supporting turn in Everything Everywhere All at Once? Trust me, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it all. If you're a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis, you've come to the right place. So sit back and relax. It's time to talk the spectacular career of the one and only Jamie Lee Curtis and talk about why she still has never been nominated for that elusive Oscar. First, let's start at the beginning. Jamie Lee Curtis was born on November 22nd, 1958, to 2 of the biggest movie stars of the time, father Tony Curtis and mother Janet Leigh. Yes, she was born mere months before her mother signed on to her most iconic role of Marion Crane in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, a film that earned Janet Leigh a Golden Globe win for Best Supporting Actress, as well as her one and only Oscar nomination, losing to Shirley Jones for Elmer Gantry. Leigh was likely close to an Oscar victory at the 1961 ceremony given her Golden Globe win and Psycho managing 4 nominations, including Best Director for Hitchcock, but Elmer Gantry was just better liked by the Academy overall, the film nominated for Best Picture, Burt Lancaster winning for Best Actor, and thus what turned out to be Janet Leigh's only chance at an Oscar victory came up short. Jamie Lee Curtis certainly didn't have awards on her mind early on because the first stage of her career, as you're probably aware, was as the ultimate scream queen, Curtis appearing in 6 horror films between 1978 and 1981 after getting her start on television, which included a full season on Operation Petticoat. John Carpenter cast Curtis as the heroine of his 3rd feature film, Halloween, which was a monumental hit for the horror genre, becoming for a short while the most successful independent film of all time.
What's the boogeyman?
But Halloween didn't really help Curtis's film career, at least at first. It wasn't until she reunited with Carpenter for 1980's The Fog that horror movie offers started pouring in, like for cheap Canadian slashers, Prom Night, and Terror Train. But after making Halloween 2, Curtis decided her time with the horror genre was officially over.
The only pivot I've ever done in my entire life was make a decision after I did the sequel. I said I was not going to do any more horror films.
She appeared in some more TV projects, as well as the dramatic theatrical film Love Letters, but Curtis's first major breakthrough outside of horror was 1983's Trading Places, starring Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, and directed by John Landis, which tells of an investor and a con artist who find their positions reversed as part of a bet by 2 millionaires. Curtis plays Ophelia, a smart and business-minded prostitute who becomes entangled with Aykroyd's character.
You don't exactly look like the type that has a butler. You know, if you're hustling me.
Hustling you? Hustling you?
The comedy allowed Curtis to shed her scream queen image and show that she can be funny, sexy, wildly unpredictable. Many critics loved the movie, audiences showed up in droves. The careers of both Murphy and Aykroyd were booming at this point. Trading Places was the ideal project to take Curtis's career to new heights, but even she probably had doubts of any end-of-the-year awards nominations. The film received 2 Golden Globe Award nods, one for Best Motion Picture Comedy or Musical, and one for Eddie Murphy, but the BAFTA Award voters clearly liked the film even more, giving it 3 nominations, 1 for Best Original Screenplay, 1 for Denham Elliott in the Best Supporting Actor category, and 1 for Jamie Lee Curtis in the Best Supporting Actress category. She was up against Maureen Lipman for Educating Rita, Rosemary Harris for The Plowman's Lunch, and Terry Garr for Tootsie. Educating Rita won Best Film at the ceremony, as did Julie Walters for Best Actress. Maureen Lipman would have seemed the obvious choice then for Supporting Actress, but again, they loved trading places. Denham Elliott won Best Supporting Actor, beating out Bob Hoskins, Burt Lancaster, and Jerry Lewis, and Jamie Lee Curtis was the surprise winner for Best Supporting Actress. Her acceptance speech is, in a word, delightful.
This wasn't supposed to happen. I'm amazed and very shocked and not expecting this at all. And I'm just thrilled. And I have to thank my girlfriend who lent me the dress, Dory. Thank you very much.
Now, how come her win at BAFTA didn't translate to, at the very least, an Oscar nomination? Oscar voters aren't against nominating comedic performances. Tootsie had been recognized all over the place at the 1983 ceremony, and in 1984, Charles Durning was nominated in Best Supporting Actor for his comedic turn in To Be or Not to Be. Trading Places did get one Academy Award nomination for Best Musical Score, but it was otherwise overlooked. The film's release way back in the previous June probably didn't help, nor did the stacked category for Best Supporting Actress, Oscar voters more keen to give 5 dramatic performances attention rather than Curtis's comedic performance in Trading Places. It's just the way things shook out that year, but in her long history with award shows, Curtis winning a BAFTA award for Trading Places is frickin' awesome. Sadly, her film career didn't exactly skyrocket after that. She kept working, but not in too many noteworthy projects. She co-starred with Bette Davis in the TV movie As Summers Die. She led a terrific ensemble cast in the film Grandview USA. Her most famous movie from the mid-80s has to be Perfect, co-starring John Travolta. If they had given an Oscar in 1986 for Best Aerobics Performance, she would have won it hands down. Jamie Lee Curtis's next big critical and commercial hit, her second movie to bring her into the realm of awards attention, was 1988's A Fish Called Wanda, about a group who team up for a jewel heist, then try to double-cross one another for the money. Co-starring John Cleese, Michael Palin, and Kevin Kline, and directed by Charles Crichton, the movie gave Curtis her juiciest role yet, one that showed off more comedy and all kinds of complexity.
Moved? George moved the loot?
Yes.
Where'd he move it, Ken? Where did he move it?
Critics loved this one even more than they loved Trading Places, Roger Ebert giving the film 4 out of 4 stars and calling it the funniest movie I have seen in a long time. It goes on the list with The Producers and This Is Spinal Tap. It grossed $62 million on a $7 million budget, and it did extraordinarily well come awards time. At the Golden Globes, the film received 3 nods total: Best Motion Picture Comedy or Musical, Best Actor in a Comedy for John Cleese, and Best Actress in a Comedy for Jamie Lee Curtis. She lost her first Golden Globe race to Melanie Griffith for Working Girl, a performance that went on to earn an Oscar nomination. I would say things look pretty good for Curtis's chances at the Academy Awards that year. She received her second BAFTA Award nomination, this time in the Lead Actress category. Alas, on Oscar nominations morning, only one performance from the film got in, Kevin Kline for Best Supporting Actor. But the movie was clearly liked by Academy voters, the film not only getting in to Best Supporting Actor and Best Original Screenplay, but also Best Director for Charles Crichton, which I would say is pretty surprising, comedy directors very rarely getting into that category. I think what likely hurt Curtis the most was category confusion. Was this a lead actress role or a supporting actress role? You could argue Kline is supporting, since the movie also has John Cleese and Michael Palin. However, Curtis is the only big female part in A Fish Called Wanda, so some might have put her in the lead actress category. If enough voters had put her in supporting actress, she likely would have taken the slot occupied by Joan Cusack for Working Girl, since Sigourney Weaver was already a frontrunner in that category for the same film. Unfortunately, again, Curtis didn't make the final Oscar list, and she had to watch from the sidelines as her co-star Kevin Kline actually won Best Supporting Actor, a rare Oscar victory for a comedic performance.
I would like to thank John Cleese for writing this brilliant script, for his generosity, for his friendship, to my fellow actors Michael Palin, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Thankfully, A Fish Called Wanda helped propel Curtis's career to new heights, her projects growing in stature and budget over the next few years. She's terrific in 1990's Blue Steel, directed by Kathryn Bigelow, and I adore her in My Girl from 1991, which was my introduction to Curtis on the big screen when I was 7 years old. During this time, she was also starring on a hit television series, Anything But Love, co-starring Richard Lewis, which aired for 4 seasons and earned Curtis 2 Golden Globe Award nominations, the first of which she won in 1990, beating out comedy legends like Candice Bergen and Tracy Ullman. Again, it's another great acceptance speech. I love her shout out to her mother, Janet Leigh.
I'd like to just say a couple personal thank yous. First, to my mother, Janet Leigh, who I love and respect very much. And she truly has taught me that being a good human being, or trying to at least, is more important than anything else.
Around this time, she appeared in the ensemble comedy Queen's Logic and co-starred with Mel Gibson in the drama Forever Young, but her biggest role by far, and the one that brought her closest to a potential Oscar nomination, came in 1994 with James Cameron's action extravaganza, True Lies, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, about a secret agent going after terrorists who are smuggling into the United States nuclear warheads. Oh, and he also discovers his dowdy secretary wife might be having an affair with a used car salesman. Curtis plays his wife Helen, who in the film's beginning thinks her husband is nothing more than a computer salesman, but later on discovers, in her own words, that she married Rambo.
I'm Helen Tasker. Harry is my husband. And you are?
Also not Tasker, not Rehnquist.
True Lies is Jamie Lee Curtis at her very best, stealing scenes right out from under Arnold Schwarzenegger, her character's physical and emotional transformation, a stunning one to behold. It's not just her looks that change throughout the movie, it's also her intelligence, her confidence, her stepping up to the plate to be a total badass. Yes, her dance scene in the dark has been rightfully criticized by many as mean-spirited and misogynistic, especially in terms of the film's larger narrative arc, but Curtis gives the moment her all, clearly committing 100% to every swing of the hips and fall to the floor. It's the later scenes I love, after she discovers who her husband is, her trying to make sense of what her marriage means, and her will to survive under the most extraordinary of circumstances. When it comes to the big-budget summer action blockbuster, Jamie Lee Curtis gives one of the best female performances ever in that genre, and it looked like, for a split second there in early 1995, that she was finally on her way to her first Oscar nomination. She'd won a Golden Globe Award before, but never until then for a movie role in the category of Best Actress in a Motion Picture Comedy or Musical, up against heavy hitters Andie MacDowell, Emma Thompson, Gina Davis, and Shirley MacLaine, none of whom, weirdly, were there by the way. Curtis took the Golden Globe Award trophy for True Lies and gave another fabulous speech.
First of all, I got a phone call on a Saturday afternoon. It was Jim Cameron. Hi, Jamie, it's Jim Cameron. Hi, Jim. I didn't know him, really. He said, read the script, please. I'd like you to play this part. The dream, right? Of any actor in the room? That's the dream. That's Jim. Jim, thank you for that. Thank you for Helen. Thank you for letting me hang under the helicopter the day before my 35th birthday. Thank you for going up and shooting it while I did it. And thank you for recommending that I let go of the bedpost during the dance. It's all you.
And then, while it was the early days of the Screen Actors Guild Awards, Curtis was nominated there too for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Supporting Role, which he lost to Diane Wiest for Bullets Over Broadway. But seriously, a Golden Globe win and a SAG nomination, these days, that combination usually translates to an Oscar nomination almost every time. And in early 1995, there was absolutely wiggle room in both the leading and supporting actress Oscar nominations. If it had been a year earlier, when Holly Hunter beat out Angela Bassett, forget it, Curtis wasn't getting in. If it had been a year later, when Susan Sarandon beat out Sharon Stone and Meryl Streep and Emma Thompson, again, forget it. But in 1995, Curtis should have made the final Oscar list, and it should have been in the lead actress category, replacing, in my humble opinion, Susan Sarandon for The Client. In the Academy Awards record books, this would have been a really cool nomination, on par with Sigourney Weaver's similarly awesome nod in lead actress in 1987 for Aliens, also directed by James Cameron, but at the end of the day, two major elements worked against her. The first, like with A Fish Called Wanda, being that many voters probably weren't sure if Curtis belonged in lead actress or supporting actress, and the second and more important one being that an Oscar nomination in acting for a comedic action blockbuster starring Arnold Schwarzenegger of all people would have been breaking with years of tradition. Enough Academy voters probably liked her performance, but didn't think it worthy of being at the level of an Oscar nomination, and so the movie only got into one category, Best Visual Effects, and once again Jamie Lee Curtis was passed over by the Academy, although she still showed up to the ceremony in style to do a True Lies bit and talk about the scientific and technical awards.
The Academy congratulates all of the men and not one woman who were honored that night and thanks them for their ongoing quest for the next frontier.
In the nearly 30 years since True Lies, Curtis has given plenty more excellent performances, both in film and on television. She received another Golden Globe Award nomination in 1996 for her performance in the miniseries The Heidi Chronicles. She received what is to date her only Primetime Emmy Award nomination in 1998 for the lovely TV movie Nicholas's Gift. And she flirted once again with Oscar talk when it came to her sublime comedic performance in 2003's Freaky Friday, which earned Curtis another Golden Globe Award nomination, losing to Diane Keaton for Something's Gotta Give. In a lesser year, maybe Curtis could have sneaked in a surprise Academy Award nomination for a part like that, but 2003 was stacked with excellent dramatic performances by women, and so Oscar love for Freaky Friday just wasn't in the cards.
I'm told.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I'm like the Crypt Keeper.
As the new century marched on, Curtis's roles in film became less and less prominent, with her only occasionally popping up in mediocrity, like Beverly Hills Chihuahua and You Again. Her first major role since Freaky Friday, to give her some notice, was on the Fox television series Scream Queens, where she played Dean Cathy, which secured her another Golden Globe Award nomination, losing to Rachel Bloom for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. But it was her return to the Halloween franchise that made Jamie Lee Curtis a major movie star again, starting with 2018's excellent sort of sequel, Sort of Reimagining, with Curtis in top form as a reclusive Laurie Strode, who was bound and determined to keep her family safe from a once again on the loose Michael Myers.
Michael Myers murdered 5 people. And he's a human being, we need to understand.
Curtis had revisited the role of Laurie 20 years before in 1998's Halloween H2O, a movie I adore and find extremely underrated, and in 2002's Halloween Resurrection, which she had to do out of a contractual obligation, and is a movie so awful, Curtis herself has admitted it pains her to be in it.
And so that's why, sadly, I'm in Resurrection. Sadly.
Halloween 2018 was a fresh start the franchise needed, one that has carried Curtis into 2 more sequels, 2021's Halloween Kills and 2022's Halloween Ends. With these 3 huge horror films, released in fairly quick succession, Curtis has been everywhere lately, showing up on talk shows, podcasts, you name it. If her star might have faded for a while there, say between 2005 and 2015, her star is back and bigger than ever, not just in Halloween, but also in the excellent Knives Out from 2019, which secured an Oscar nomination for Best Original Screenplay and made it into a couple acting categories at the Golden Globe Awards.
I read your profile in The New Yorker. I found it delightful. I just buried my 85-year-old father who committed suicide. Why are you here?
And then, of course, I can't reach the end of this video without talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once, one of the biggest film success stories of 2022. Made in early 2020, wrapping the day before the COVID-19 pandemic shut all movie productions down, Everything Everywhere All at Once made a splashy debut earlier this year at the South by Southwest Film Festival, received a stellar reception from critics and audiences, and went on to become A24's first ever movie to reach $100 million at the box office. The film star Michelle Yeoh, like Curtis, has also never been nominated for an Academy Award. The movie could and should finally right that wrong in early 2023, and Curtis, who is nearly unrecognizable as Deirdre, a no-nonsense IRS auditor, could possibly coast on the film's gargantuan wave of enthusiasm all the way to her first Oscar nomination as well.
Now you may only see a pile of boring forms and numbers, but I see a story.
There's currently not a clear frontrunner for Best Supporting Actress, and it's kind of anyone's game. I believe it comes down to Curtis getting at least one of those major precursor nominations, like at Golden Globes or at SAG, and also how well Academy voters like the movie overall. One of three things can happen on Oscar nominations morning, alas. One is that the movie is mostly ignored, maybe just gets a lone nomination for Best Original Screenplay. Second is that the movie gets into screenplay, picture, maybe actress for Yo, and then nothing else. Third is that the movie overperforms in every way, gets like 6, 7, 8 nominations, Ke-Huy Quan makes it into supporting actor, and Curtis surprises in supporting actress. But Curtis could also be passed over in that category in favor of Stephanie Hsu, who's been similarly praised for her performance in the film as well. I don't know if Curtis can get in. Odds seem fairly slim, but crazier things have happened, and I don't know about you, but I would love to see Jamie Lee Curtis finally get some much overdue Academy Award recognition after a nearly 50-year career in film. As I said at the beginning, she's one of my all-time favorites, a tremendously creative and talented performer, and I think she deserves to be an Oscar-nominated actor, just like her mother was for her incredible performance in Psycho. Whatever happens or doesn't happen for her when it comes to that elusive Academy Award, Jamie Lee Curtis is one of a kind. I mean, Halloween, Trading Places, A Fish Called Wanda, True Lies, Freaky Friday, Knives Out, Everything Everywhere All at Once. The list goes on and on. What a career. What a legacy. We love you, Jamie, with all our hearts. The world of cinema wouldn't be the same without you. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite Jamie Lee Curtis performance? Do you think she should have received an Oscar nomination by now? See you next time.